道学生可能从105天可以至少都来，他们的想法是3次。啊，那不管这样子的案子在下个礼拜一的行政会议会有什么样子的讨论，或者有什么样子的结果，虽然还不知道，但是很明显的，学生一定要接受这个多益的挑战。那对我们老师来讲，我们怎么样帮助学生？对我们今天真的非常高兴，吕丹宜老师他在教授这个多益这么多年的经验，他愿意跟我们分享。那我们现在就欢迎吕老师。
Thank you, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here to share my experience in TOEIC with everybody. And I think today's focus, and I'm going to, I prepare some props here because I have a lot of fun with my student in TOEIC teaching, and I think it is very effective and very useful, and that can help the student improve a lot. So I think today my main focus about TOEIC test, and I want to share with you what's effective teaching and effective learning for the students. Okay. So first of all, I introduce myself that I have lots of experience outside of school system. Okay, so in the market that I start from an English club. Okay, so I was there for about 8 years. Okay, and then I was in Zhongyuan University, and I went to National Taiwan University. I was in language center. Okay, majorly I taught the GPT and TOEIC and conversation class, and also outside of the the school in the cram school system. I was in Time International Global Village, and also currently I'm still in the English club. Okay, so and I just joined Suzhou University, start from this year. So it's a very okay, like a freshman in Suzhou University. So first of all, I want to share everybody what is TOEIC about. And I think the most important thing is about the setting about this test. Okay, this test is very different from GPT, and also is very different from TOEFL. They are very academic, and they are for graduate school or even for the academic requirement. But this TOEIC test, from this setting and situation, you can see it's I would say it's something to do with business. It's not so not so strict, not so strict. Okay, and majorly it's about your living English. So this is what about TOEIC. So when I teach TOEIC, I took my student, okay, to have fun, and during the trip we use English, and I told them that what is that and what is it in English. So they learn on the way to to have fun. So we went to Danshui, and we went on a boat, and sometimes I play card games with students, okay, like bridge or whatever, and to make them feel that learning English is not so tedious and not so strict, just only for the test. So they were pretty enjoyed, and so the TOEIC test, the whole format of TOEIC test is, the score is 990. I think everybody knows. Okay, it's about 2.5 hours, and for listening section there are 4 parts. Okay, and it's about 45 minutes for 495. Okay, and the reading is about 75 minutes, and it's also 495. So in the total about 990. And that's the format of those tests. And as you can see that it's about 200 questions. In comparison to other tests, it's time matters. Okay, so it's very important to tell the student do the time management. All right, okay. So now let's move on to the first part. For the listening section, that everybody knows, the first part is for picture recognition, okay? And so for each question, it has only 5 seconds. So I give the student the tactic, how to prepare for the test. Okay, for example, like this one. Okay, when you see the picture, I think you ask the student, most of the students will say, I will ask what tense do you use to describe a picture? And I think most of the students, they've been trained because the entrance exam, they all think to describe a picture, they use the past tense. But actually, we should use the present tense and the present continuous tense to describe the picture. So in this picture, if you hear the answer is past tense or the other tense rather than present tense, that's definitely not the right tense, the right answer. Okay, so that's a tactic for the first part. And okay, and then the second tactic that I would say, don't mark your answer when you hear any choice that you think is the possible answer. Okay, because the oval is larger than the one they used to, the square one. Okay, so when they mark the oval, it takes a little bit time. And if you finish the four answers, then you'll find it's very difficult. You have to use the eraser to correct the answer. It's only 5 seconds for each question, so you won't have time, okay, to mark the answer if you make it wrong. So I would ask the student, okay, don't mark any answer. You just rest your pencil on the oval that you think possibly the answer. And after you finish all the four choices, then you decide which one is the correct answer and start to mark the answer. Okay, to save their time. Okay, and also, in this part of the answer, they are always in the positive form. So if you hear any answer is not or is a question, then definitely not the right answer. So they can delete the answer right away. Okay. So if they can delete the incorrect answer, and they will have less distracted for the correct answer. Okay, and what's important about this part is also if you hear, most of the answer should be he or she or it. Okay, if you hear any of the answer has I or you or anybody's name, John, okay, for the answer, then you delete the answer right away. Okay. All right, and finally, never leave any blanks. And I told the student that you hardly have a chance, okay, to, you only have 5 seconds. So 5 seconds is really short. So you don't have time to think if I want to choose A or B or C. So I asked them to flip the coin, before they go to the test and to decide which answer is is a lucky answer for them. So I asked them if they don't have time to hesitate, which answer will be right. Just guess the answer. Okay, write B right away. If they're not sure about the answer. Okay, that will have more chance for them to get the right answer if they want to guess. Okay, and so as soon as you have finished marking the answer, and then ask them to stop thinking, lingering around the past question. Just move on to the next picture and get ready for the answer. Okay, and for this part A, I normally give out the cards. Okay, so I give each of you have a card. This picture are all, I got photo from the textbook. So what I did in the classroom, I asked the student, try to think, okay, 3 or 5. If they have higher level, I ask them to come up 5 vocabulary out of this picture. So, for the consequence classes, then I do the exercise again and again. So I urge the student, to whenever they have a picture, and they always think about 3 to 5 vocabularies out of the picture. So, when I give out the picture and I give them about 3 minutes, they got to think about 3 vocabulary or 5 vocabulary, and then I want the whole class stand up, okay, and then tell their partner their vocabulary out of this card, and then ask their partner to give them another 3 vocabularies, okay, so they can and then at the end you have 8 vocabularies, and then you swap the card. Okay, swap the card, you have new task, but with 8 vocabulary, and then you carry the new card to another partner. Okay, and then through this exercise, I think to do a practice that they got to whenever you see the picture that you start to settle your brain down and to remember and to think what vocabulary I might hear from the listening section. So that would help the student. They get the good habit, move on and on. So every time they know what to how to prepare and how to understand the picture. And then maybe after the vocabulary exercise, then I might ask them use the picture to ask the question to your partner. Okay, think whatever question, and especially I would tell them. Most of the question will focus, when we take the picture, we will have a zoom. So you only look at what's, in the focus. So they wouldn't ask any question, not related to the, to the focus of this picture. Yeah. So, and then I would tell them, this picture has different scenario. Some of those talk about people. So when you talk about people, you always have a question to ask what profession or what's the relationship and what they wear and things like that. And if the picture is like the object, airplane or cup or books inside the picture, and possibly you will ask the question about also the preposition in front of, at back, or whatever question. So they, when they stand up, they can ask the question, and this exercise can help students, when they go to, when they take the test, okay, when they see the picture, listen to the instruction, and they got to read, preview the picture, and they, they can set their brain down, and they can understand, later on, I'm gonna hear what kind of vocabulary and what kind of question that I might expect to, and that can help them to, choose a more correct answer. So this is the first part. Okay, for part 2. Okay, part 2 is the question and answer, right? So each question that you cannot see any, any question or answers on your exam paper. So you got to, stay focused. But in this part, I think something is interesting. Each question only have 5-second pause as well, okay, like the first part. And, in this part, that most important about this part is, I think at first, most of students would think, I haven't had a chance to understand the question, then, 3 answers, okay, being read out, and they couldn't respond right away. That's a big problem. But I think this test, something interesting about this test is the only thing that you need to pay attention is the first word of the question. Okay, the first word. For example, it mostly asks a WH question. Okay, so if they ask what, one of the answer would be where, and the other answer is what, and the third answer would be when. So, this would be very useful tactic for the student to understand how to answer the question. And, most of our students, for those 30 questions, and finally, at the beginning, they might got, only 5 correct, or, less than 5. But, at the end, if they found out this tactic, and they, most of them can finish about 20 correct answer. Yeah, okay. And so, to identify the type of question is very important for this part. And also, don't mark any answer. Okay, that's what we said before. And take a guess. Okay. So it is very little time between items, so they don't have time to hesitate for the answer sheet. Okay. So things like this, I make 2 examples, like this one. The question, what exactly did you send them? Okay. So you can see this answer, the invoice. I sent them by email. I did it yesterday. So you can see it's very obvious that the question be A. The answer should be A. Okay? And the B is for how, and C is for when. So this is a very interesting format about this test. Only apply to this test, okay? Not for the other tests. And things like it. When was the announcement made? When? So the answer definitely is when. The B, okay? And where? Okay, that's the answer for A. In the conference room, and by public relations office is how. Okay. And in this part of exercise that I give out this card, okay, for student. So normally I ask them to work in group. Okay, that deck of cards. So you can have a look at the deck of cards. Sorry. Okay. So for each deck of cards, okay, I design the cards, okay, and I have the answer and the question. So in this exercise, I give out, I ask them to tell their partner the answers. Okay? For example, the first one. Can I have a card? All right. For example, I have the answer. It's a yellow. So I ask, if one of the students, I ask them to pile the deck of cards, okay, and then face down. So, okay, it will be, to help students, understand better and they feel better for the question. Yeah. Okay, do you want to have a little bit fun? Okay. Yeah, so for the whole deck, it will be the same question. So you can walk around and to help the student out. And sometimes, for example, I have one card, the same old, and they don't really understand what it's like. Same old. Actually, same old, how are you? The question will be, how are you? Yes, I laminate it and then cut it. Yeah, so they can have fun within the group. And I think they will understand better about what the question is.
How many people do you have in the group?
About 20. Yeah. 20 in one group in National Taiwan University Language Center. So I have about 20 students in my class.
Where do you live?
Yeah.
How many people in your group?
I have 5 or 6 groups. Yeah. Yeah, I give about 4 or 5 people in one group. Yeah, so they can help each other. Well, that's the idea, but sometimes if their question will be flexible, if their question will be okay, then just investigate. It's in Taipei, but that's in Taipei, not Taipei. So you got to be very strict to, where are you from? From Taipei. You wouldn't say Taipei. Taipei.
But usually we don't have these prepositions. Where are you from?
Where are you from? From Taipei. Well, if you, so most of the students, if they come out, their question is different from what you gave to them, and they will check. So you can decide if they're okay or not. Yeah. So they will raise their hand. Well, teacher is not right, but they want to check if the question is okay. Because I think in this question and answer section, it is important to that the student understand what is the WH question and do more this kind of question and how to tell the difference. And they also, if they know how to ask the question, they will feel this session will be easier.
Any questions on Q&A, right? Any questions and answers.
Yeah,
But
but
focus on maybe WH question, depending on which word you want.
yeah, but you got to be careful because when I give out card, I would tell them that you've got to 100% meet the requirement of their question there. And so in the case if they think their question, normally students do the exercise. If they think it's okay, then let it go. So they wouldn't check with you. But if you say you got 100% and they are not sure about the question, they will raise their hand and to ask you. So then you can go there and to tell them what is right and what is wrong. Okay.
There can be many different questions, right?
Yeah,
Several.
definitely. But you just tell them that you better exactly have the same question as you did to them. Yeah, mostly. Because it's Winter Olympic and Summer Olympic. Winter Olympic. Actually, I got this from a textbook. That British design textbook. It's okay, so we can take that question out. If you think it's not simple. Okay. Okay, do we move on? Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, and as for part 3 and part 4, okay, it's part 3 and part 4 would be 8 seconds for each question. So as you know, there are 10 sets of questions, and each question has 3. Each set has 3 questions for part 3 and part 4, right? Okay, so I normally ask my student, when you listen to the instruction, you get to check the question 1 to 3 when you hear the instruction, okay? And then you get yourself ready for the conversation or for the talk for the first set. And I told them not to check more than 3 questions for every time. And then when you okay, and when you listen to, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. Okay. Okay, and for as you know, this in this small talk and small conversation, when they start to announce the question, okay, they will ask question number 1, and please answer question number 1, right? And then give you then the second question, or please answer question number 2. And I often tell my students, don't wait until the announcement. Okay, you got to finish all the 3 answers when they read the conversation. Okay, and then you have 24 seconds, right? I told my student about 20 seconds. What you should do for the extra 20 seconds, you should start to look at the next set of 3 questions. That's very important. Okay, and then in this format, for the conversation and the talk, I think something interesting about this test is whenever you hear the similar sounding word or the repeat sounds, okay, repeat word, that's 100% not the correct answer. Yeah, okay, this is about this funny things about this test. So, similar sounding or repeat word are mostly used as distractor. Okay, they definitely in the answer they would use the different words. Okay, and mark your answer as quickly as possible so you can preview the next item. Okay, so basically these are the tactic for listening. Okay, any question about listening? I hope you do benefit a little. Thank you. And then we move on to reading. I think for the first part of reading, part 5 and part 6 for the incomplete sentence and for close. Okay, basically for vocabulary, phrase, and so I wouldn't do anything, no suggestion for part 5 and part 6. But for the part 8, reading comprehension, I think this is a big challenge for students, and most students cannot finish this part. But I told my student, I think the most correct answer you get, it should be part 8. So I push them to do the first part, when they go to the reading section, and I urge them to do part 8 as the first part, because they need more time for part 5 and part 6. I'm sorry, part 5 and part 6. This is part 7. Oh, sorry, I put it part 8. Okay, so I told them the time management in this test gonna be very important, because 100 questions for 75 minutes, it's gonna be harsh. So, I work out, how long you're gonna take for each question. Like this one, 75 minutes, I divide it to 100 questions. Then it's 45 seconds for each question. So the student need more time for part 5 and part 6, because they always confused about grammar, and they're always confused about phrase they use. So they need to think more. But the most correct answer, what actually they get, it might be only the reading comprehension. They can get a higher score rather. But most of students, they give up this part because they don't have time to finish this part. So they should take. So I told them that they should manage their time. Okay, so start from reading. Then you got to think that you need to spend about half minutes, about 30 seconds for each question for this part, and how. Okay, so they need to work out. They say, well, how long you should spend, because we have to read the articles and print your article. So I give them exact time. Okay, they need to move on. So 48 questions for the reading comprehension, they should need about 24 minutes. Okay, about 24 minutes, so that I wouldn't give them the harsh time. I told them that you need to, you can have a little bit time, okay, to finish this part within 30 minutes. Okay, so what are you going to do if you cannot finish 30 minutes? And then most of the students will say, we just guess. I say, no. Okay, don't guess at this point. Okay, move on to part 5 and part 6. Okay, so you have 45 minutes to finish this, the 2 parts. Okay, and then if you still have time, go back to part 7. Okay, and then finish the rest of them, and wait until the last 5 minutes. Okay, and then start to guess. All right. So I think this, the time management is pretty useful for students. Okay, and so how to finish all this reading comprehension in just only 30 minutes. So I start. Every time when I do the TOEIC test, the first class that I teach them part 7 at the beginning, because I found out they need to do more exercise. So they, at the end of the class, we have a simulation test, and most of students, they found it very effective if they, keep practicing. And how to practice? So I told them how to do the effective reading. 3 steps for effective reading. We do the skimming, okay, and the scanning. And then, after they've done that, they can answer the question. Okay, and in this test, I found it interesting that you can answer most of the question. Okay, and for example, if I have one article, normally have 4 questions. So most of them, you can finish all 4 questions.